Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Caldwell County Board of Education to order, and I'd like to welcome each of you here. And we are certainly happy that the school year has gotten off to a very, very smooth start. The board has been out in the schools and talking to teachers and administrators and staff members and students, and it seems like everybody is ready to go for a new school year here. We have right now, well, as of Friday, we have 12,076 students enrolled in Caldwell County schools. So we're hoping that we can start edging that number up a little bit, but that's what we had as of the end of last week. I also like to mention, and I know you've heard it and you've probably seen it in the newspaper, our graduation rate is 90.9%, but it is official now. We projected and felt like it was going to be that, but it is 90.9%, with all 5 of our high schools being over 90%. This is a remarkable achievement when you consider the fact that 7 years ago we were at 68%. So a lot of teachers, volunteers, teacher assistants, administrators, everybody has pitched in and made that possible, and we're so proud of our school system and all the people that are pitching in and helping out. Would like to mention in regards to the graduation, since it is such a high level, that in the state of North Carolina, Caldwell County is ranked 7th of all high schools in the state in graduation rate. That is remarkable. If you take school systems that have 7,000 or more students, we actually are number 2 in the state. Number 2 in the state with school systems of 7,000 or more students. The other schools are small school systems that maybe just have one high school, and probably a little easier in those situations to get the graduation rate up. But we're very, very proud of our school system and everybody that works in it and everybody that's a part of the process to get our graduation rate to what it is today. So we're very proud of that. This time I'd like to move along with the agenda. I want to call upon our Vice Chairman, Mr. Tim Hawkins, to do our invocation.
Certainly. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege that we have of being here tonight. We also thank you for the privilege we have to live in Caldwell County, a beautiful place to live, to raise our children, and to educate them. We thank you for our staff, administration, and most of all for our boys and girls here in Caldwell County. We thank you for the trust that you have placed in us and other leaders here in the county. And we ask for your guidance and direction as we make decisions tonight. Make those decisions be favorable to you, and also, most importantly, be favorable for each child. May we reach out to those that are in the most need, and may we be able to provide them everything they need to excel. We thank you once again for those that you have placed in leadership here, those that get up every day and go to that classroom or drive that bus or feed that child or help educate that child. We are certainly blessed, and for that we give you all the thanks. We pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Next, we have 3 students from Gamewell Middle School who are going to lead the Pledge of Allegiance tonight, and we're glad they're with us. They are Keaton McMillan, Crystal Rivers, and Logan Lovins. So if y'all come forward, and everyone please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for being here tonight and leading us in the pledge. Next item is the approval of the agenda, and the board has had the agenda for some time and had an opportunity to look it over.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I'd like to amend the agenda to add an 11.2, and that would be budget amendments under the finance section. That's 11.2, budget amendments. And I would like to delete item 14.2, real estate transactions.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the agenda as has been amended?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes. Next, we have the approval of the minutes, and the board has had an opportunity to review the minutes of August the 11th, our regular board meeting, as well as our closed session on that same evening. Do I hear a motion that we approve the two meetings on August the 11th, 2014?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes of both the regular and closed session meetings of August the 11th, 2014.
Second.
Any comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes. This time, I would like to recognize and have him come to the podium here, Mr. Ken McDonald. He wanted to make an announcement of some description here, so we're glad you're here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you all know, or some of you may not, Oak Hill School has alumni banquet every year in October. I'd like to invite all the school board members, along with Mrs. Libby Brown, to join us if you can, October 14th at 5 o'clock. And let these people see that their hopes and wishes is not in vain, that the school will carry on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. We appreciate your letting us know about that. We had, I think several of us had heard of that, and we certainly plan on being there. Next on the agenda is an item which I'm sure a lot of you have come to view tonight, and that is the honors and recognitions. And we're always proud of our students and others that do so well in our county. At this time, I'd like to recognize Mrs. Libby Brown, our Community Relations Director, and she's going to make the announcements, and the board will move down, and we'll shake hands with those who are being honored.
Thank you, Chairman Pennell, board members, and Dr. Stone. We're into a new school year, and that means new artwork in the hallway of the Education Center. So we'd like to congratulate our students tonight whose artwork has been selected for the Education Center Art Gallery. As I call your name, please come forward. And we're going to start with Baton Elementary School, and Jason T. Taylor is the principal, and the art teacher is Jenny Green. So we have 4 students we'll recognize. Taylor Hartley, 4th grade. Taylor, yeah, come on out. Emma Grace Harris, 2nd grade. Emma here, okay. Andrea Martinez, 4th grade. And Kaylee Mock, 2nd grade. And I was asked to mention that Kaylee is the daughter of Chris Mock, our own technician at the Education Center. So I never told you so. Okay, now it's a Kodak moment. So if you'd like to come and take pictures.
And you can get out in the hall. We will
Yeah.
wait until the cameras stop, I promise you. This is the highlight of the board meeting. Please come back over. We're going to take some pictures. All right, now you smile and make us look good, okay? All right. Any more? All right, thank you.
Thank you. From Happy Valley, we have Principal Chad Smith here tonight, and Melissa Jarzewski, who is the art teacher. So we have Vivian Miller, 6th grade. Is Vivian here tonight? No Vivian, okay.
Yeah, you have to come up here and stand.
Malaya Watson, 4th grade. How about Zoe? Zoe Woods. Zoe is here tonight. So Zoe Woods, kindergartner. Yeah. And we have Hudson Elementary School, Emily Eisenhower. This is her first year as art teacher there at Hudson Elementary. And we have Principal Adam Windmiller is here also this evening. We have Katie Black, 2nd grade. So Katie, yay, Katie. Killian Barlow, 5th grade. Okay, Killian's here tonight. And Abby Tucker, 3rd grade at Hudson Elementary School. Not here tonight? Oh, she is here. Yes, 100%. Yes. So these youngsters in our system will have their artwork in the Education Center Gallery.
Okay, we're going to line you up just as soon as Abby makes it through the hands. All right. Come on over. Come on over, Abby. You're right here. All right. All right, everybody smile for the cameras. All right, look at all these cameras.
Aww.
All right, you got one more? Smith, you gonna do it?
Okay.
All right.
Hey, congratulations. We're very proud of these young people and their artwork on display, so it will be on display the entire month of September. Now we're going to turn our attention to a grant. The school district, in partnership with the Science House and the College of Sciences at North Carolina State University and the Engineering Place in the College of Engineering at North Carolina State University, recently secured a major grant of $500,000 from the North Carolina Department of Public Education for enhancing, and this is a long enhancement, but it's very important, teacher content knowledge in science, implementing research-based instruction in science classrooms, improving student understanding of key science concepts, and creating sustainable partnerships to provide ongoing support for professional development and classroom implementation. And you can guess which subject. Science. The grant is entitled Imagine, Engineering Making a Greater Impact in Education. That's where you get the Imagine. Imagine will directly engage 90 K-5 teachers representing all 16 elementary and K-8 schools, private schools, and local homeschool organizations in Caldwell County. The teacher participants will receive 84 hours of instruction and support to enhance their classroom science instruction and improve their physical science content knowledge and engineering design and process skills. So we had two primary people involved in the grant writing, even though it was a collaborative effort among the administration in the school district. You've heard me say North Carolina State University partnership a couple of times. So that will lead you to one key person here at the Education Center, and that is Regina Barrier. She's the director of the Northwest Outreach Office of the Science House, sponsored by North Carolina State University. And then you also heard me talk about other aspects of teacher development and so forth. And the grant was actually written by Amy Bradley, who is the director of the Patterson Science Center. So that makes perfect sense. And the 2-week Summer Institute will be held there each year at the Patterson Science Center, and also some follow-up seminars. about engineering is elementary. So one of the primary aspects of the grant is that the integration of engineering is elementary. These are kits that will actually be taken to the elementary school. We congratulate all of those involved because it just wasn't these two women here at the Education Center, but there were several other people in administration who helped them compile all the stats they needed and the information for planning this grant. So very nice to have $500,000 come to the Caldwell County Schools primarily for the focus in science education. So congratulations to Amy Bradley, Director of the Science Center, and Regina Barrier, who is the representative of North Carolina State here as the Director for Outreach of the Science House. So let's give them both a round. That was a mouthful. And that's all.
We know that many of you need to leave, and if you need to go do homework or eat dinner, now would be the appropriate time. But thank you for being here, and have a safe drive home.
The PowerPoint that you're about to see is in your folder. If you want to follow along.
Next item on the agenda is public comment, and as of 4:30 this afternoon, we have received no public comment, so we'll move along with the agenda. Next is our Superintendent, Dr. Steve Stone.
Good evening, board members, Mr. Chairman, members of the audience. I have two portions I'd like to do tonight, and both involve PowerPoint presentations, but we're going to start with Ms. Vicki Spruill, who's Director for Elementary Education, and she's going to share with us some of the outcomes from the reading camps and pre-K expansion. So Vicki needs no introduction, but welcome, Vicki, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say about pre-K expansion and reading to achieve.
Thank you, Chairman Pennell, members of the board, and Dr. Stone. It's an honor to share so many things that are happening in the elementary world this evening. Before we get started, I would like to introduce you to our newest administrative assistant, which was funded through a grant. This is Emily Dillard. She's going to be assisting me this evening with the PowerPoint, and we wanted you to put a face with someone that you might talk to as the year goes on. Everything we do in Caldwell County is aligned to instruction and to our vision and mission in Caldwell County Schools. Of course, we want a quality instruction and a safe and caring environment, and want every student to graduate with globally competitive in a post-secondary education or in life after in the 21st century. We take into consideration, and this is a quote that I stole from Robert John Meehan, but every child has a different learning style and pace. Each child is unique, not only capable of learning, but also capable of succeeding. And that's how we start every year, looking at every child and their unique learning styles. We take into consideration and begin our journey as early as preschool, and that is children from birth to kindergarten. And I know a lot of folks don't recognize that we actually do start from birth to kindergarten. Our preschool program is not traditional. It's a blended approach, and we develop strong language skills that's designed to provide a wonderful opportunity for all children to participate and experience growth. The curriculum that we use in the preschool program is designed to address all domains of learning. That is emotional, social, cognitive, language, health, physical, and approaches to learning. And it's also aligned to the North Carolina Standard Course of Study. So it is a definite advantage for our students. We have 7 schools, in Caldwell County Schools that currently have a preschool program. 10 classrooms, as you can see, Gamewell Elementary, Hudson Elementary, and Whitnall Elementary have 2 classrooms in their site. And our expansion is aligned to needs in the county and in the district, according to Smart Start and where children put in a request for preschool sites and for preschool attendance. So we also have itinerant sites, and I don't think a lot of people are familiar with that in Caldwell County, that we actually have itinerants that go out into the daycares in the community. They go to the Head Start program, they have half-day preschools and programs in homes, and also to home schools to provide services for children that need possibly occupational therapy or training of some sort, physical therapy. We send staff members into the school system. To bridge preschool and kindergarten, we offer Rising Stars. So we have a system for children that may not have had the opportunity to go to preschool, or they may have gone to preschool and still need that little bit of boost before they enter kindergarten, because we want them to enter ready and prepared for kindergarten. Barbara Fisher has been our Rising Star coordinator for 5 years now, actually since we started Rising Stars, and she's phenomenal. She's been the catalyst that has helped grow Rising Stars. This year we had 20 classrooms, but they were in all 16 of our elementary and K-8 schools, which is where we really wanted to go. As we continue to expand, we will add classrooms at our existing schools. We have 20 teachers, and we had 20 instructional assistants that spent four weeks this summer in Rising Stars. This summer, we keep data. The teachers actually do a pre and post assessment. The blue is the pre-assessment when children enter into Rising Stars, and you can see that it's the way we want it to look. You can see that staggered, and we grow on the average of about 20% each year. That's what our data trend has shown. Which is a tremendous boost for children that have not had exposure, even if it's just social and emotional, behavioral, just not having that structure that we've had in the past. We do keep long-term data, which in this particular slide you can see again that stair-stepped. This is our kindergarten is in blue, our first graders are red, and our second graders are green, and this is at the beginning of the year. We keep data trends to show how the children are progressing that have participated in Rising Stars or participated in preschool, and in some cases both. So we are watching those trends, and as you can see, the results are very positive. And this last year, our kindergartners at the end of year were 87% proficient. So we are seeing some tremendous patterns. In the event that a child does not master reading proficiency by the end of 3rd grade, the state has put a law into, and I'm sure that you've all been exposed. I've seen a lot of you at the parent meetings recently, but the Reading and Read to Achieve law is House Bill 230, for those of you who want to actually look into it a little bit further. But it's to ensure that every student read at or above grade level by the end of 3rd grade and progress in reading proficiency in order to read, comprehend, integrate, and apply complex text needed for secondary education and career success. Of course, that is our goal as well. And we are trying to follow those state guidelines. But if a child does not reach mastery by the end of 3rd grade, they have the opportunity to go to a reading camp. And these children were blessed. I truly do believe that it was one of the most exciting, and the results were just phenomenal for children and teachers. And I just really want to thank the dedicated staff of teachers, assistants, media assistants, drivers. We provided transportation. We provided breakfast and lunch for students, so we had the nutritional specialists involved as well. And it was a team approach, and these are the tools that we used for the summer camp, as you can see as well. I'm going to share with you a little bit of what and bear with me because we're going to go quickly. But this is what the children that were able to attend spent from 8 o'clock till 1 o'clock for 4 weeks. And this is a little glimpse, and you're going to get to see some of their happy faces with some of the things they did. But this is a day in the life of a student. We started with data, and a lot of data so that we could find which children needed to be placed together and how we could best serve their needs to fill any types of gaps that they had, because once they leave third grade, and third grade is that transition where they're no longer really learning to read, but reading to learn. And so we wanted to make sure that we filled those gaps if they had them. We had books to grab young readers' attentions, and you can see some of the great titles that were there, Orangutan School and Kakapoo. They loved these books. We also have materials that were organized for each student, so they really didn't have a lot of planning. They had many things that were provided for them, and poetry books, etc. We did 2 days of training for every teacher and assistant prior to this summer program. So you can see that was at Hudson Elementary. Adam Windmiller was very kind to let us have training at his site. The other site that we had training was Gamewell Elementary School. This was to provide the opportunity for children to do small group instruction. We had a ratio of about 1 to 4, 1 to 5 on the high side. So, I mean, that's an ideal setting in itself. But it was wonderful to be able to see the small group instruction. We also had guided instruction and taught the children how to discuss, extend understanding, and generate questions that would align to the text that they were reading. In this one you'll see Maggie King, one of our teachers from Valmead, with explanations with actions. We tried to teach children how to apply that word and make some meaning and make it personal to them. They were reading to increase fluency, as you can see here. We taught children to dig for evidence in the text every day, and we're still in the same day. And we tracked text as they read. This was probably one of the children's favorite things. As you can see, the Reader's Theater, they actually had some of the props, and they would be the participants or the actors on stage, and they would read their part and act out, and you can see they were having a great time with that. They spent time in learning comprehension through Reader's Theater. We also were reading to write and writing to read. That's very important to bring that text and help with the comprehension as you can take it to actually putting it on paper. We had comprehension with actions, and this was, this is one of our media assistants, and she read a story about glass blowing to the students, and they did a study throughout the week. And at the end of the week, they learned how to blow glass by having a piece of bubble gum, and they had a straw in the media center, but don't tell anybody. And what they say about that carpet again, Dr. Church, we did have bubble gum in the media center, but they loved it and they kept trying, and they were finally able. As you can see, this young man, he got it. But he understood the concept and actually was able to apply what he was learning through being able to blow glass. The group worked to apply everything that they learned, as you saw in that particular setting. But we also spent time conducting ongoing formative assessments. Each day, children were had a one-on-one with that adult where the teacher would assess the progress that was being made so that they could align any changes to instruction to help benefit the children in any way that they could. We shared connections, taught them how to look at context clues, recognize close reading and prior knowledge to bring that to the forefront so that they would be able to take some of that background knowledge and bring it forward and guide that mental imagery. Teachers modeled word sorts. As you can see, they would actually do it first, and then the children were actually able to sort their own words and were able to read words. And they each had a comprehensive notebook that they could take notes, create anything that they wanted to take home because this was theirs. They took it home at night. They shared with their parents because it's a team. It's not just the teachers and the students, but those parents were very much involved, and we heard from a lot of the parents. Students were still reading all the time, all day long. An example for you would be smart kids use duct tape. We taught them how to make lists so that they could use these skills. If you'll notice, we talked about duct tape. Kids make shoes. Kids fix bus seats. And they also, I don't know about the 5 removing warts, but I haven't asked for an explanation on that one, but I bet it would, and fix eyeglasses. So they were very creative in the things that they came up with when we were making our lists. And then again, their interactive notebooks were used in a lot of different settings, and they were able to keep those so that they could make references throughout the summer and between summer camp and the end of summer school. They did more reading in the afternoon just before they went home. They also modeled expectations and taught them how to do story maps, because all of these are things and skills that a 3rd grade student should have before they move into 4th grade. So I know this was quick and a lot of things that a child learned throughout the camp. And of course, we did this over 16 days. So they came in for 4 weeks in the summer. And these children, I think they were blessed. Most of them, I think the big thing for me was on day 3 when a child came up and hugged me and said, "I just love this school. I want to keep coming here every single day." And it brought tears to my eyes that they loved coming to summer reading camp. But these are the results that we had at the end of the camp and the impact on the lives of children. We had 859 3rd graders last year in Caldwell County schools. 82 students attended this reading camp. 31% of them passed the Read to Achieve alternate assessment, which was huge because they'd had tried 5 different attempts before we came to summer school. And so this was a tremendous hurdle for them. Every student nearly in the entire population grew. 91% of our students grew in 4 weeks' time with the reading camp. 82% of them grew in their scale score with growth on the Read to Achieve alternate assessment, which is the assessment that they took at the end of the summer camp. And overall, at the end of this 3rd grade, and this was our first attempt, so I commend everyone with the effort that they had, but our 3rd graders that passed the EOG, Read to Achieve, or the local alternate assessment in 2013-14, we had 85.9% of them achieve proficiency and mastery of 3rd grade skills, which is attributed to our staff and our teachers and students and parents, and also to the support that you provide us in the elementary education department. But why we do it, the why is for children, because without them, none of us would be here. And we want to be a part, the very first touch on raising that 90.9 high school graduation rate. So they have to have that foundation. And we're very pleased. And I appreciate having the opportunity to share some of the things that are going on in K-3 in the elementary department and curriculum instruction. Does anyone have any questions? I know it's fast.
One thing that's
Dr.
really-
Stone told me I only had 5 minutes, so.
I got one question. How
Yes.
does the 85% how did the state do? Do we know that? Have they
We
done-
do not have the state report yet, which we just found out 2 days ago that they've not been able to show the growth from the beginning of grade assessment to the end of grade assessment, but that will be coming out. And because of that, I think they're holding out on some of the reports. Each district, I mean, technically I could go in and look at every district,
No, I just wanted to.
but we were on the high, I would say the high 30% of this state, but that's just through checking in Region 7 and our local. We were at the top in that regard. So, but those haven't been validated by the state yet, so
One
I
thing I'm really
hesitate.
excited about is the very fact that we worry about our children when they have the gap in the summer. And a lot of them don't have the stimulation to keep them up to par with and slide back, you might say, when it's time to start school again. So
Absolutely.
actually, this program does two things.
Yes.
It gets them ahead and then keeps them going forward when they do continue in school. So it's fantastic that we have that for these particular students that need that help.
That is
I'm
correct.
really
And
happy
it,
that we have that. Thank you.
I'm anxious to see our beginning of year benchmarks for these students and to compare their end of year data and the end of summer camp and see the impact over the summer. I'll share that with you when we receive those
Look forward to
numbers.
that. Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you, Dick.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd like to, item 2, I'm going to be very quickly go through this. This is really more of an update on the school system. I wanted you to have this. We'll be presenting it to groups as we meet with the community. We have a community breakfast plan coming up soon, right, Libby? And so this is sort of the presentation we'll be sharing with them, so I wanted you all to see it first. Of course, Caldwell County Schools governed by our mission and vision, particular attention to the vision. Every child, wherever they are, wherever they need to be, graduates from high school on time. This is who we are. Darrell, we've actually lost a couple of students since this slide was put together, but you'll see a little bit about the size of the district, and we have been losing students for the past 8 years or more, and we hope to at some point end that trend, but a quick little update of where we are. The next slide will show you kind of a snapshot of last year, what we've much to be proud of, the fact that our kids are very competitive with grant money and scholarship money, and the fact that they can go anywhere they want to in the United States to college. And the 6,500 credit hours, that is kids already leaving us when they graduate from high school. They have that. That's money parents save by not paying for college credit courses. So again, a great savings to the community. The slide that I spent a lot of time talking to the Rotary about was the graduation slide. And you need to see this because you can see where the trend has gone over the last couple of years, and particularly in comparison to North Carolina. And 20 years ago, Caldwell County was probably at the very bottom, if not the bottom, when it comes to graduation rates. So a lot of progress. And it's always nice to compare ourselves to North Carolina, but you'll see we overtook North Carolina back in 2008, and they have been eating dust since. The next slide is it's pretty telling because sometimes I'm asked by groups, well, you know, that's great, Caldwell County, 90% graduation rate, but how do you do for all the different subgroups? And that's something that I think Caldwell County Schools can hold its head quite high on, because when you look at us compared to the state, again, comparing ourselves, we're not where we need to be, so we can't hold our head completely up there, you know, in the sky, but we do master every category from the state. I'm particularly proud of our Hispanic population. They are well above, they're even above the county average, and about 9% of our students are Hispanic. You'll see our African American, black population, our white population. We need more females to get that 93% graduation rate. But no matter what measure, you can see that we are above. The children with disabilities, again, about a 10-point, about 12 points there. And our limited English proficiency students, again, just all over the board. Caldwell County Schools outperforms our neighbors. And as Darrell mentioned, there's only one district in the state that has students about our size or even larger that beats us, and that's Union County. So very pleased with that. A couple of other things. So you'll see the demographics of the district. We're still a predominantly white student population, but our Hispanic population continues to grow. our African-American population shrinks, and our multiracial population is growing slowly, but growing. Who we are, I mentioned this at the Rotary Club, that we had 17, we used to, when I came, we were almost at 1,800 employees, and over the 8 years, I have done nothing to them. The state, I like to say, but anyway, just people leaving, but we're down, we're still the largest employer, we're down to 1,700 employees. I was asked about the fact that we have 844 teachers, does that mean all of the rest of them are administrators? And the answer is no. Very few administrators, most of those are teacher assistants, bus drivers, cafeteria, the many folks who touch a child's life in a positive way every day. So that's who we are. 30% nationally board certified. Our ESL language, again, 7% of our population where English is not the language spoken at home. 18 different languages. And Libby would kill me if I didn't put in our volunteer hours and the wonderful volunteer programs that she helps coordinate for us. We do much to be proud of there as well. And I think there's one more slide, and that has to do with our business partners, over 60 last year, and I know Libby is looking to grow those. You have an example there of Google. They do come out and spend a day to help our middle school, some middle school students break down a computer, put it back together, and then they get to go home with that computer. So we have a lot of great business partners. Next month, I'd like to kind of bring you up to speed with some of the legislative changes that have been in place, but I thought I'd just give you a quick little snapshot of who we are. You will see this again as we begin to present to community groups, and I hope if you ever want to use this as a snapshot of Caldwell County Schools, we can certainly make it available to you, Libby or Kathy. So, all right. That's it from me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Stone. We appreciate that. And we're going to move on with the agenda. And I'd like to call on Dr. Trish Johnson, Associate Superintendent for Human Resource Services.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Stone, I have several items for your attention this evening, starting with Exhibit 2. Exhibit 2 includes usual and customary personnel items for your information only. Moving to Exhibit 3, those are action items. I respectfully recommend approval of the items as usual and customary personnel items as they have been presented to you.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that I should say that we approve the usual and customary personnel items, because it looks like you all were super busy here recently. From the length of that list, I kept going and going and going.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And the last item for your attention is Exhibit 4. Exhibit 4 includes the 2014-15 school year student transfer request. Since your last board meeting, we had 81 requests. Of the 81, 77 meet established board criteria. I respectfully recommend approval of the 77 transfer requests. If approved this evening, that brings the total board-approved transfers for 2014-15 to 482. I respectfully recommend approval.
Do y'all hear a motion that we approve the student transfers 2014-15 as has been presented?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we approve the student transfers as listed in the agenda today.
Is there a second? Okay. Any comments or questions?
How does that compare to previous years?
It's about average. Nothing unusual.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Jeff Church, Assistant Superintendent for Auxiliary Services. Tell us about our surplus sale.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Stone, we do have a surplus sale scheduled October the 8th, 2014 at 9 a.m. at the Maintenance Department. Exhibit 5 are a list of items that will be for sale, and I respectfully request that you approve this list.
I make a comment, Jeff, you can't fool us too, because a bunch of us saw what you were trying to sell.
Yeah,
Great stuff.
Really, really good
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. Just what I've always
I'm
wanted.
sure that's right. That's right.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we approve the surplus sale on Wednesday, October the 8th, 2014, beginning at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we approve the surplus sales scheduled for Wednesday, October 8, 2014, as presented.
Second.
Any questions, comments, any additions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Church. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Next, our Finance Director, Mr. David Johnson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, board members, and Dr. Stone. Tonight I have the budget resolution that is required, in the format required by the Local Government Commission. I think we had met with the Finance Committee, and I think the primary goal was to keep employees at work while minimizing the impact to fund balance and still provide the financial resources that our schools need to be successful. Overall, the budget is very similar to last year's budget. We did have some reductions from the state public school fund and central office at-risk student services and low wealth funding. So the section 1 is specifically for the state public school fund, and it includes allocations and revenues of $70,493,406. The current expense fund includes allocations and matching revenues of $20,086,818. The special grant fund, that's our local special grant, includes allocations and matching revenues of $1,910,325. Federal grants fund includes revenues and matching expenditures of $7,007,106. The capital outlay fund includes revenues and matching expenditures of $8,935,694. And the enterprise fund, which includes the child nutrition fund and the wraparound program, combined total $8,965,408. This includes a total appropriation for Caldwell County Schools of $117,398,757. In case you're wondering where the actual money is coming from, I've included a couple of charts that includes how the expenditures, the location for the funding source actually comes from. The first one is entitled Total Budget by Funding Source. If you'll notice, the $70 million in state makes up about 60% of our total budget. The 17% from the current expense includes $14.5 million from county appropriations. We're grateful for the partnership we have with the county commissioners. The second chart shows the total budget by purpose. The 73% that's in the largest category is instructional services. These have direct impact on student learning and classroom services. And the last slide is the total budget by category. And if you'll look, one thing I wanted to point out on that one is the salaries and employer-provided benefits total 79% of our total budget in Caldwell County. So this is a recommendation of the superintendent and finance officer. We've also reviewed this information with the finance committee that the budget resolution be approved as submitted.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we approve the budget resolution as has been presented?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the budget resolution as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Comment, please. The Finance Committee did meet today, and we recognize the great job that the Finance Department achieved in getting salaries and everything going after the short amount of time in even getting a budget. And I think it was in order for us to give them an applause for just doing such a fantastic job.
I'll say a point on that. I work with a good group, so it's certainly not me. It's a group effort.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
The second thing that I have for tonight is the budget.
Yeah, we need to vote.
Sorry.
We need to, any
I
other
got one
questions?
more question.
All right.
With a budget of 117 million and 12,000 kids, what does that compute spending per child? And how does that compare with the state?
I don't have that. I don't have that.
We'll get you that tomorrow, Dwayne.
Thank you very much.
And did we actually vote?
No, we haven't
No,
voted.
we weren't.
We haven't voted. I was just waiting on other questions. Anybody else have anything to say? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I do have in front of me the average daily membership that those allotments were based on. It was based on 12,195 students. I can't do that math in my head, sorry.
Yeah. Me either.
No.
Okay, second thing I have tonight, and I was hesitant about bringing a budget amendment on right after we approve a budget. What typically happens from the state, they give initial allotments, then they make revisions. At this point, we've already had 5 revisions. Revision number 1 was for the reduction in charter schools based on our ADM. Revision number 2 was based on the transfer for the North Carolina virtual public schools. Revision number 3, which was a big one, was the carryover amounts for reading camps, Indian gaming funds, digital learning grants, and at-student services. And revision 4 was primarily for allotments that were not provided in the initial allotments, which included school resource officers, child and family support teams, high school learn and earn grant, and special program funds in school technology. This amendment is $1,162,122. I felt it was important to get this into the budget as soon as we could to provide those resources to the schools.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we approve the budget amendments as presented?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the budget amendments as has been presented.
Is there a second?
Second motion.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
That'll bring the total budget for Caldwell County Schools to $118,560,879.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We appreciate what you're doing and what your department does. Great job. As we move along in the agenda tonight, we have a proclamation for September to be Attendance Awareness Month. Excuse me. Let me read this proclamation. Whereas good attendance is essential to student achievement and graduation, and we are committed to dedicating our resources and attention to reducing chronic absenteeism rates with a focus starting as early as kindergarten. Whereas chronic absence, missing 10% or more of school for any reason, including excused and unexcused absences, or just 2 or 3 days a month, is a proven predictor of academic trouble and dropout rates. Whereas improving attendance and reducing chronic absence takes commitment, collaboration, and tailored approaches to particular challenges and strengths in each community. Whereas chronic absence predicts lower third grade reading proficiency, course failure, and eventual dropout. It weakens our communities and our local economy. Whereas the impact of chronic absence hits all students particularly hard if they don't have the resources to make up for lost time in the classroom and are more likely to face systemic barriers to getting to school, such as unreliable transportation, lack of access to health care, unstable or unaffordable housing. Whereas chronic absence exacerbates the achievement gap that separates students from their peers, and absenteeism also undermines efforts to improve struggling schools. since it's hard to measure improvement in classroom instruction if students are not in the classroom to benefit from them. Whereas schools and community partners can reach out more frequently to absent students to determine why they are missing school and what would help them attend school more regularly. Whereas schools and districts must do more to track, calculate, and share the data on how many students are chronically absent so that we can deliver the right interventions to the right students. Whereas all students, even those who show up regularly, are affected by chronic absence because teachers must spend time reviewing for students who have missed lessons. Whereas chronic absence can be significantly reduced when schools, parents, and communities work together to monitor and promote good attendance and address hurdles that keep children from getting to school. Now, therefore, be it resolved that as the chairman of the Caldwell County Board of Education, I proclaim that our schools will stand with the nation in recognizing September as Attendance Awareness Month. We hereby commit to focusing on reducing chronic absenteeism to give all children an equitable opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive academically, emotional, and also socially. So that is the proclamation making September Attendance Awareness Month, and I think we all understand the importance of the child being in the classroom on a daily basis. Next, I'd like to recognize Mrs. Dottie Darcy, and she's going to talk to us a little bit here about the Western Piedmont Sister Cities Association.
Okay. Yesterday afternoon, I had the opportunity to go out to the Patterson School and meet with half a dozen folks from Altenburger, which is in East Germany, who are here for slightly less than a week of a Sister Cities visit to the Western Piedmont area. Basically, our area is Catawba, Caldwell, and Alexander counties. It was a delightful group of people. We were very fortunate to have Mr. Kerner, the language teacher from Brighton High School, who is German, to interpret for us because they spoke very little English. And their visit to the Patterson School had been set up by some of their foundation board, and I had the opportunity to tell them, I gave them the Reader's Digest condensed version of the Patterson Science Center, and they thought it was a great idea. They had a lot of questions about our schools. One of the ladies who was in the group is actually a county commissioner in their area of Germany, and apparently in that area the county commission is also the one who controls the school system, which I thought was interesting. I was, I didn't say anything about that. But so she had a lot of questions about student population and graduation rate and a lot of different things that we do in our schools. So I was pleased to have the opportunity. They were a very warm and friendly group, and Mr. Kerner gave me a copy of the Western Piedmont Sister Cities brochure, and Kathy was kind enough to make copies for everybody. So you have one of those at your place and can look at that at your leisure.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Darcy. We appreciate that report. I'd like to welcome one of our county commissioners that just walked in, Jeff Battle. What am I talking about? I had a student in school by that name. But anyway, Jeff Branch, we truly appreciate you being here tonight.
And Jeff, we were just bragging on our local county commissioners. You missed it. We really were.
That's great timing.
Okay, do I hear a motion that the board go into closed session?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we convene the closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A5 to discuss real estate. Actually, we're gonna,
Yeah, we'll have an update.
okay, we'll have an update. To discuss real estate issue, North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A1, personnel issues, and North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3, possible litigation.
Okay, do I hear a second? Okay. Do I hear, all those in favor of going into closed session, say aye.
Aye.
We're going to be going into closed session. We do expect that when we come back, there will be possible action. So we'll be back shortly.
board, I would like for you to consider item 14.1, administrative contracts.
Do I hear a motion in
A
regard?
little bit more specific about them.
Do I hear a,
I see what you're doing.
okay, do I hear a motion in regards to the contract extensions that have been brought up?
Chairman Pennell, I make a motion that we extend the contracts till June 30th, 2018 for Dr. Stone, Carol Burns, Patricia Johnson, and Jeff Church.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes.
Okay.
Dottie?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make the motion that we move Dr. Jeff Church from Assistant Superintendent to Associate Superintendent effective July 1st, 2014.
A second motion.
Okay, any comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes. Congratulations, Dr. Church, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Burns, Dr. Stone.
Doesn't mean all you guys are gonna
We've
be
got a
here all
good
the
team.
time.
Sounds like a hospital, doesn't it?
Whatever ails you, we got it. We got it.
Anyway, thank you for a good meeting tonight. Let me make a couple of announcements here. On September 24, 2014, we will be going to Elkin for the School Board's District 7 meeting, and we'll be letting you know about the arrangements and what time we'll meet. And I believe Mr. Knight over here is going to be driving the van. And so we'll let you know as to what time we're going to be leaving to go to that event. Our next board meeting is October 13th, 2014, and that'll be at 6 o'clock here in the boardroom, and I'm sure we'll have a reception prior to that for the art gallery. And finally, on October 27th, 2014, we're going to have our fall work session, and it will be at West Caldwell High School. And that will be followed by the community board meeting starting at 6 o'clock at West Caldwell High School. So those are the upcoming events, and we will entertain at this point in time a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes. Everyone have a good evening.
Okay, Donnie, I'm gonna keep that, or I might.